ladies and gentlemen, go ahead and good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and welcome wherever you are on the globe and whenever you get to watch tonight's show. We continue unabated despite Facebook's best efforts to try and stop us sharing the links today. All sorts of stuff going on, but you'll watch this and then we'll share it on again, and you're welcome. And you're thinking, Jesus, Andy, you've in the last 2 weeks you've become a fine-looking fella, and you've got into that very handsome Irishman, Big Joe Shep. You're absolutely right. Andy is away for this week's show, so I've come from the bowels of producing with the followers below ground to come and co-host with one of my favourite podcast live. Knowledgeable people of all the time, the great Walking with GMan himself, Gareth Mason. Gareth, good evening.
Hello, Charles. Thanks for having us again. It's going to be a good one. Looking forward to this one. Lots to talk about.
Yeah, very, very, very much so. It's a lot of different subjects to get through tonight. Obviously, we have got last weekend's SuperFan Saturday games with the Fantastic Four, as I'm now calling them. We'll come back to that later, I'm sure. SuperFan Saturday last weekend. Great to see South African rugby back playing again. In all seriousness, we'll be looking at the this weekend's green and gold Springbok showdown, which I honestly just anybody who was foolish enough to say that there's no strength and depth in South African rugby is just not following rugby at all. So we'll be covering that as well. We'll be looking at the forthcoming Rugby Championship. Will it go ahead? This whole player availability thing, I need to sort of learn a little bit more about that. So we've got some 3 experts with us tonight. And we send our best to Angus Opperman, who can't make it tonight for technical difficulties. So if he may appear at some point, if he does, when we come on. And we'll also be looking at the Cheetahs' unfortunate departure from the Northern Hemisphere's against Pro 14 League and what's happening there. And then we got enough time, we'll also be looking at the player availability for the Rugby Championship and the rules. And the final thing we're looking at tonight, if we've got enough time, is I forgot what the final thing is now. It's what is the final thing, Gareth, tonight? It is the Super A competition. That's it.
Yeah, sorry. Super.
I want to know about the Super A competition. Everybody's been sending me things saying, Shep, what's happening with the Super A competition? Don't know. We'll ask the guys tonight. So, Gareth, who's joining us tonight?
Well, we've got 2 rugby fanatics and knowledgeable gents. Looking forward to discussing all of these things. We've got Juandre on the one side and then Reenen returns as well. Gents, it's going to be a cracking day. Welcome to tonight's episode. I think we've definitely got a lot of content to cover. I'm looking forward to chatting with you guys.
Thank you, Gareth. Yes, a couple of things to discuss. It's going to be a crackerjack of a show.
No, definitely. I'm looking forward to it, and I'm glad rugby's back. It's last weekend at Loftus was only a couple of friendlies, but it was lovely to see the guys back on the pitch.
Indeed. And on that note, let's start with last week. SuperFan Saturday. We've waited long and hard. We've seen Super Rugby Aotearoa, we've seen Super Rugby AU, we've seen Premiership, we've seen Pro 14, everything. We've been waiting long and hard, and we finally got it. I mean, 2 cracking games, Sharks, Bulls. Okay, besides my team not doing well, the Bulls pretty much gave us a good hiding. So well done to the Bulls. Jake White definitely surprised me there. And then the Stormers picking up a good victory. Lions coming back, but just not being able to finish it off. What was your guys' thought? Juandre, you can go first, and then Reenen, and then let us know. What was your take on SuperFan Saturday?
Well, the Bulls actually surprised me. I didn't see a 35-0 out of the gate.
Surprised me too.
But one thing that I loved was to actually see was the inside centre. I can't get on his name now. Cornel Hendricks, when he actually looked pretty damn well at inside centre. And the 7 stars that played for the Bulls really impressed me. Stedman Gans and definitely I think Marco van Staden as well. He really impressed me with his ball hunting skills. He had a lot of turnovers for the Bulls. But it was a game of 2 halves. When the replacements and stuff came in, you could see that there's not really a lot of depth at the Bulls. The Sharks, they've got good depth.
Yeah.
And the second game, I always thought that the Lions would come back strong in the second half because both the teams trained in the high veld, so the altitude didn't affect them as much. But a good outing nonetheless. I expected to actually see a lot more handling errors, and there weren't many because it was the first hit out. And whatever they can say, whatever they want about how big Frans Malherbe is, that man can scrum. I don't care how big he can scrum like that. Then
I've been quite amazed at the comments that people have been making about Frans Malherbe. I mean, I know he's a big boy, but I mean, his quality. He's a talented player. I mean, I did a video on the injuries the other day, and everyone was saying how big he is. I mean, do you forget the legend himself, Oosterrand and Ollie Leroux, and all those guys were actually bigger than him? So for me, people must just keep quiet and watch the man play quality skill. And I think Frans is quality, and I hope he comes back very soon.
Yeah, you know, Gareth, sorry, Joundre, if I can just interrupt you, you know, these so-called keyboard warriors, none of them ever played at any mentionable level, yet they feel it free to themselves to, you know, to criticize an acclaimed rugby player like Frans Malherbe. Sickening, man. They should rather stick to their day jobs.
Yeah, exactly. And Reenen, your thoughts now on the weekend? What stood out for you? Players, tactics, selections, coaching. I mean, for me, Jake White, I thought did outstanding with the Bulls. I've been feared of this team since Jake started making his changes, and I think he's done a good job. And let's not forget the Stormers and the Lions as well. But it's been good. What's your thoughts?
Yeah, Gareth, it was nice to see the game again in the country, albeit in an empty stadium. So be it. You know, we're so hungry for rugby that's just like nothing. Just let them just play. So it was nice to see the teams back in action. It was nice to see the players again. I expected massive rustiness, and I was pleasantly surprised. Like Joundre just said, by the handling skills. I expected much worse. For me, the big winner on the day is Jake White. You know, that guy is just so astute, and it shows already. He's walked into a rather broken system at Loftus Versfeld, and within a couple of months, he's just turned it around. Not saying these guys are like, there are no trophies there at this stage, but I think it's a matter of time. You know, they're such a good unit, and they can only get better from here, and they're good already. So I think the fan base up in Pretoria, they've got reason to be very positive. The rest of us, you know, a strong Blue Bulls team, that bodes dark days for the rest of us. But so be it. You know, give credit where credit is due. And they played well. I thought the Lions had a very good second half. They can really, if they can go back and look at that second half in isolation, there's so many positives for them to take out of it. So now I think it was a good weekend in all. I expected much worse. So I enjoyed it. It's good to have the game back, and yes, that's all for Jake White once again.
One thing that stood out for me is if we go back to Super Rugby Aotearoa for their first games, we saw a lot of massive penalties. It was actually ridiculous. I know they had to adapt to the breakdown rules and all that, but I was quite impressed with how things unfolded from all four teams there. There was nothing really to go, oh, jeepers, that was bad or anything. And like you say, handling errors. Considering everyone has been saying, myself included, the rustiness, where we're going to be, how we're going to be, we actually turned out pretty good. And it's actually not made me as worried. I know we're going to get to it now about the Rugby Championship, but obviously we'll touch on that now. But it's exciting times, and I'm excited for what's ahead in this strange period of time we're living in.
What was the biggest takeaways from you guys? I mean, what was the strength in your opinion? That was the strength of the team, of each team. You know, with a sort of Stormers at 80%. You know, sort of both player wise and capacity, or was it a bit like Nigel and Dave Topping on the cover? I'll be another €30 fine for this, but in comparison to Leinster, we didn't get out of first or second gear, really, in fairness. And then we were found wanting in Europe because we just hadn't had that capacity there. Where do you think the four the Fantastic Four, as I call them, are now after just that game?
So that's difficult to say because neither of those 4 teams showed their hand. They did the basics well. They defended well. They went through the motions and a little bit more. But their game plan at the game that they want to bring, we didn't see that yet. So it's very difficult to gauge where they're at. Now, if you want a percentage, I would say I can definitely tell you the Bulls are running. The Bulls ran at about 75%. But the other teams is very difficult to say. Very difficult to say. I think there's so much more to the Stormers than meets the eye.
Really? Why?
I think so. I think their forwards were still a bit rusty and they can get better. They can produce better ball.
I agree.
And I think decision-making by their fly-off wasn't always on point. You can also get better. They can play a lot better than they did. And they played well. But for me, again, the Bulls were the big takeaway.
Do you think that some of the players had, being the first game and friendly sort of thing, do you think a lot of the players had one eye on this weekend? We're going to come on to that in a little while, but the green versus gold Springbok showdown didn't really want to sort of push themselves too much?
I think that was definitely a factor.
I think so, yes, but I'm not also convinced. It's a new season. Using the Bulls again as an example now, they've got a new coach who they want to impress. If you're a player that wants you want to cement your place in the team, or you want to fight open a place in the team for yourself, you're not going to hold back. You're going to play. Yes, you've got your permanent players, for lack of a better word. Using the Springbok captain as an example, he's the captain of the Storm. He's the captain of Springboks. He was always going to play next week. He probably didn't give it his all, and there's nothing wrong with it. But no, I think by far the majority of the players they gave it everything. I think so.
Joandre, your thoughts?
Yeah, especially I agree with what Reenen said there, because you didn't see a lot of Dwayne Vermeulen on Saturday. He didn't do anything wrong, but you could have seen the other Bulls forwards like Arno Botha, his first game back for the Bulls, first game back in South Africa. He showed his hand there and he got rewarded with the starting lineup for this weekend's game. Same with Marco van Staden. And but for me, it's just you saw exactly how the Bulls were going to play throughout, and that's the thing under Jake White. If his forwards can give his team front foot ball, that's all that he wants. And he doesn't want to play with back foot ball, and that looked good for me. And the Stormers scrum, like I said, that impressed me. I think there's only one team that could not stop them, but could like neutralize the Stormers scrum, and that's the Bulls. I'm not 100% sure about the Sharks, but Thomas the Toy is there, and he can also work a lot of wonders. The Lions scrum it's very worrying for me, because you saw what the Stormers did to them, and that's the first game out.
I think
sorry, guys.
With the Sharks there, I think they were definitely rusty. I think there were moments in the second half where they came back. So I think when they get to the Currie Cup, they might have caught a wake up. They bloody well better get a wake up, although I'll give them hell. But I hope to see them improve, because, like you said, there are players out in that team that are actually quite good. So I don't know what. I think the Bulls were just that good on the weekend and can't fault them at all. I'll be curious to see the Bulls versus other teams and see what happens. But cracking Currie Cup / Super Lockdown, whatever it's called, ahead. It's going to be good.
Yeah, and at the end of the day, there's just one thing that we must all remember. It was a friendly number one, and it's the first game of the season. So, there are positives that you can't take away from there, but it didn't count for any log points. So, we'll see that on the 10th of October.
Absolutely. Right, well, moving on to this weekend's Green and Gold Springbok Showdown. We had the North and South in Aotearoa in New Zealand, and actually, I'm really looking forward to this one. Yeah. So I'm going to before I put the teams up, Reenen Stenekamp, you have a point to make.
Yeah, this is actually a fantastic memory that I got in preparing for tonight. Back in 2002, 2003, I can't remember the exact which of the 2 years. Rudolf Stroyle was still the coach of the Boks, and he arranged for a trial game to be played on television, everything, full stadium, the lot. And he said everything is up for grabs. If a player performs in this game, you will be selected. And I don't know if you guys remember Brent Russell, but at the time he was playing more than decent rugby. He was playing good Super Rugby, he was playing good Currie Cup rugby, but he wasn't a Springbok, and he definitely wasn't, he definitely wasn't a shoe-in for the Boks. That's a fact, and he was like on the brink. And he just took the bull by the horns and he smashed the door down. And he took over that game and scored a zillion tries and made a zillion more tries. And he was just selected from there on and played a lot of test matches. I'll never forget this. And people still talk about that game to this day. It was such an enjoyable game of rugby. Now, I expect and I really hope for a similar game on Saturday. But we'll get to that now. I just wanted to share this Brent Russell thing with you. He took the opportunity, he made it count, and he became a damn good Springbok. So I hope for something similar to happen there.
Good. Well, we look forward. Do you think, lads, just before I pull up the team, do you think this is going to become an annual thing? Or should it become an annual? Should it become an annual thing?
Well, it would be nice if it can. I think it's a very good idea. It's a gauge of where you are, not only strengthening depth, but form players as well. It's a golden opportunity for youngsters and fringe players to stick their hands up. There have been a few positions that have gone open due to retiring players. A guy like Francois Lowe retired. Now he wasn't always starting every test match, but his place on the bench is open now. So you've got youngsters who will say, "But listen, I can take Francois' place. If I play a decent game on Saturday, then the coach is going to select me." You've got that hooker, Schalk Brits, who's also retired now. So you've got flank and hooker that's gone open now. Why not? So it's going to be fun.
It's almost going back to when I was a kid, when you played, the teams you had it was probables against possibles. You used to have it was the thing all the time, and you had all the kids that were lined up. Or the other version of it was probables against possibles. You had everybody lined up, and then each captain, which is what effectively they've done, right? First pick, second pick, and then I was the lad left at the last, clearly. But it's affected me all my life, you can tell. But I think it's absolutely a great, whichever way you do it, and I think this what you're doing has been really good. Is I think it's got a lot of potential there to continue. But again, it's fitting it into the calendar, lads, is I think the biggest problem. And I'm hoping that this local then global thing, they'll be able to do things in the future. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to sort of look at the green and gold, the Springbok Showdown just now. Before we do, this is Drie Bokke, a ball and BlitzBOD, the fortnightly Springbok and South African Rugby Roundup show. I'm not Andy Daniel. I'm the good-looking half of the pack. I'm Big Joe Shep. Andy's away in some top-secret mission, sourcing some more stuff for looking forward to the British and Irish Lions tour next year. More to follow on that. My co-host and actually leading tonight is the man who has all the knowledge. I'm just here to pull a few punches, really, is Gareth Mason, GMan walking tall. I'm joined by Juandre Joubert and Reenen Stenekamp. And we are, as ever, partnering and grateful to Andy's working space with the good team at workshop17.co.za for co-working, collaboration and connections across South Africa. Fab place. Go and check them out, lads. It is the way to go. Working from home isn't everything. Co-working spaces, and this is a prime example of the best in South Africa, Workshop 17. So we're grateful to them. So let us stick up the team. Reenen's brought us up to speed with the past. Here we go. Springbok green and Springbok gold. Juandre, take us through. What are you making from the green team, mate? What's the standout there for you?
Definitely their pack. I think their pack will their pack's a bit better than the gold team. Especially the back three, which consists of Siya Kolisi, the captain, Arno Botha, and Dwayne Vermeulen. Those three, I think any team in the world would want those three to start with. And with Francois Steyn there at 12, he can slot in at 10 if he needs to, and drop back to 15. And Bongi there at 2. It's good to see him back after his injury. And it's like Ratsi said, they'll be very good in the lineups when they selected the teams. He was actually having a go at Team Gold there, saying he doesn't know who's gonna win their lineout balls.
I'm not. I don't know much about GMan De Bruin. What's he like? The green tie head.
Well, he's a youngster, and Rassi wouldn't have chosen him if he didn't know him. And another guy that Rassi rates a lot is the hooker that starts on the bench, Schalke Erasmus, who started for the Bulls last weekend. So I think those are two players you definitely need to look out for.
I ask a bone question here, lads, but is our bench hooker any relation to the coach? Because like that used to happen in the old days. Like, it's my ball, it's my game, so I make the rules. Right, he's my lad, he's my best mate, so I'm picking him, type of thing. Or is it just the same name?
I don't think they're related. As far as I know, I don't think they are.
No, they're not.
Reenen, what are your thoughts on green to begin with?
Joe, I like the look of this green team. You know, they've got a couple of settled combinations there. Very strong team. But there's, for them, I wouldn't say they're going to be complacent. But the other side of the coin, though, is the gold team will be up for this. They're going to play at above their capabilities in order to match this team. This is a very, very strong team. Make no mistake. But this is just going to bring the best out of the other side, and that's a massive thing to look forward to. Is to see how these players are going to react when the pressure starts, when the pressure starts to come. But no, the green, on paper, looking at it as it is now, you have to favour the green team for this game. But rugby's played on grass; it's not played on paper. I'm looking forward to that.
Absolutely, Gareth. What are your take on the green side? What's the standout for you there, tactically wise?
Green, I'm very excited for number 14, Yao Pentre. Fellow Southern Kings boy. I think with the whole drama that's gone on with the Kings, I think this kid is going to show South Africa what he's made of, and I think he's going to be a great effort. There's great talent. I love the scrum off, sharp scrum off for the green as well. There's great squad. I mean, I think if we look at it on paper, gold probably wins, but green we cannot count out. I mean, it's like the backs versus the forwards. The green backs are quite solid and young, and then you look at the gold backs. I mean, Skorsan, experience, Speckman, brilliant, Galant, Springbok. But I mean, we look at the other guys in Vermeulen, Kolisi, Botha. It's like forward on the green, back on the gold. It's going to be an epic game. We're going to see battles from both ends. But what I'm excited is the youngsters' opportunity to really come on and show the world who they are. And like Reenen said earlier, have a success story like Brent Russell, a guy who you might have not rated. For example, if we have to go to Scurra and Tebeni, I mean, he's always had a tough time getting in because of the likes of Bonambi, for the likes of Scott Brits and all the main guys, Malcolm Marks. He shines on Saturday, boom. You can't ignore him because now he's all the way there. So I'm excited to see what guys that we don't really know or don't watch take an opportunity, and that's why I highlighted the Kings guys, because now they've got a tough time. The Kings are nowhere. Now's his opportunity to show the provinces what he can do, or overseas guys what he can do, and I think it's a great opportunity.
Because people like Penty, I'd watched them quite a few times in the Pro 14, and Jesus, that boy's speed. Oh, and his footwork.
And
he's got speed, Joe.
Humble guy, good person, no arrogance. Yep. Well, he's just I've met him on a few occasions on radio. Just a great guy, and it's one of those where I want him to just shine. He deserves it, and I'm gutted for the Kings 4 players that are missing out. Yeah. Who have quality, and I think now that he's given the spotlight, I hope he takes it and achieves it because he's quality.
Absolutely. Gareth, if I can cut in here, sure. I want to latch on to what you said about the players, and also their availability, to sign a deal with another team. A guy like Penke comes to mind here.
Yeah.
These guys are without contracts now. They don't have a job. They don't have a team to play for. So if a guy like Penke, sticks his hand up on Saturday, I can see a guy like Jake White giving him a ring here. Bobby De Veer, who I rate extremely highly.
Yes.
He's got 3 offers from France. 3. So he's definitely going to go there. But not all the players have the luxury of considering different options. I mean, a guy like Cameron White's gone back to Durban. He's what's he going to do now? His agent, he's phoning all over the place. But it's not like positions just go open every day. These players have got problems. So this is, they definitely. I expect a big one from Penke. I think he's going to have a massive game, and he will score a try. He will if he doesn't score a try himself, he will cause one to be scored anyway.
Yeah, he'll make an impact.
No, he's that good. They really.
No, I think. No, just quickly on that one. I mean, we've all been talking about depth. Does South Africa have the depth? All our guys are overseas. All our stars are overseas. We've got so many injuries in South Africa. This green gold, it has just brought to light the talent we actually have, the depth we have. And yes, you can say they're young and you're worried about them, but now's their chance to shine. And for me, it just excites me for what we actually have, because I don't think a lot of us realized this. And I really hope, and I mean, you can support one team for fun with your mates, but I hope each and every player on that squad, bench and starting, shine, because it's their future. And I want homebred boys to really do well.
Isn't it good though that from there's always an opportunity in every adversity. We wouldn't have been in this. You wouldn't have been in this position to see that, and it's really interesting seeing somebody with your knowledge, guys, to say that you didn't actually appreciate yourself. And I don't think most people within South Africa, let alone the globe, will have understood exactly where you are. I think by seeing I know we're going to come on to the availability and non-availability of the Rugby Championship shortly, but this alone just highlights the numbers you've got. And you wouldn't have seen that if it just started in the normal Super Rugby, because life is just so bloody busy. You just would have gone on and you wouldn't have seen that. And some of those lads wouldn't have got a chance, because the mindset of coaches across the globe, we've got the same problem in Ireland here. I'm a huge fan, and if we should be building to 23 and then from 23, 27, and now is an ideal opportunity. This 8 Nations competition in Europe that we've got coming up, the old 6 Nations +2, is an ideal time where we should be blooding, what you've done. So I think it's fab for those youngsters that you've got, because there's guys there that not only did I not know, there's some people in South Africa who's like, who's that then? Or Pensy, getting that opportunity, because especially now with the King's gone. So I think it's great. So the bottom line is Gareth Mason, green or gold to win?
I'm going Kuzlakanya. My Sharky's a captain. I'm going gold.
Gold. By much, mate?
No. I'm hoping less than 5, just so it's close. I want loads of tries. I want high scores, but I want it to be close. I'm going to go, 5. Okay. Gold by 5.
Reenen?
Joe, I like the look of green. I want gold to win, because for me, the underdogs are always back the underdog. But I do think green, not by many. I'll go with Gareth's 5, but for green.
Fair enough.
Now I'm also gonna go green, but just because Rassie is the head boy there. I think he'll have a trick or two up his sleeve.
Of course.
Okay. Well, I'll go for goal. I'll go for goal. Just one question. How good is Salman Murad?
Oh, that guy could well be the Brent Russell of this game.
Yeah.
Don't rule that out. He's got the head for it, he's got the mentality for it, and he's got the ability. He may well take this by the scruff of the neck and own it. Don't be surprised.
Good. I hope so. I like him. I think he's top. Like when we had him on the show there the other week, he also been chatting with him a little bit in between the week before game last week and now, and comes across as a very, very bit like an almost equivalent of James Ryan for Leinster and Ireland. That sort of youngster who's so focused. They're not the old type. With respect to the old type, the sort of second row, but just level-headed, so fit and focused and athletic, and it is a new breed. I think in some positions coming through, and he really, really has impressed me in lots of ways. Just before Gareth leads us on to the availability bit next, Heinrich says goal by 3.
Finally, Heinrich and I are supporting the same team. Very glad to see that.
Right on you. Nigel quickly says he thinks Andy needs to adjust his contrast or something here. I'll tell you what, mate. Seems as I mentioned sort of Ireland and Leinster tonight, we'll go the whole hog. Add another €10 onto my fine because I mentioned that I was once a prop. There you go. So you can add another 10 on for that because I get fined. You have to tell people as well. What's this fine system you have? Apparently, if I mention Leinster or Ireland on a non-Leinster Ireland show, or the fact that I was a prop once, I get fined by the team. So there you go. So it's €30 in one night. So just suck that up. What else have we got? Green versus Gold. Green has a better forward pack, but we'll try to go forward with a weaker backline. Gold has the better backline, which is what you were saying, and a weaker forward pack. Okay, so
another goal. Robbie Durant.
Robbie, good evening, Robbie. Great to have you on. I'm shocked that the Cheetahs are excluded. Top school in South Africa produced a number of Springboks, and as always, in the competitions, it's a disgrace. Secondly, Southern Kings and the way that was handled. Been nothing less than shocking. 51 players and management are in complete distress. I can actually imagine how difficult it is mental health wise for a lot of these guys. I think we forget that sometimes.
They've already got someone in. I heard the other day that they were hiring. Well, we actually spoke about it last time. The mental health coach, just to guide them. It's sad, man.
Kings. He goes on. Robbie goes on. Kings is the Kings is the machine behind producing the Springboks. Specifically transformation plays, and it's a shame to see this is not prioritised. It is a very, very difficult situation, and I know we're going to sort of come on to the Cheetahs a little bit, so I'll sort of park that. I just thought that was a really Robbie, thank you for doing that. Gareth.
Yeah. Next one, the Rugby Championship. Cheapest, has that been in the news this past week with New Zealand, with blaming people, with not getting their schedule, leaked minutes, then they're not leaked minutes, crocky. It's been a whole thing. But back here in South Africa, firstly, we've got a lot of questions. Yeah, obviously, we're going to talk player availability. I've heard that the Premiership aren't very keen on releasing our Springbok players, which is a pity if they don't get it, hence why Saturday is such an important game. The availability of how our injury guys going. I mean, there's been talk of we're going to just send a second string team, pretty much like what well, not a second string, but maybe the best of this green versus gold. Sia Khaleesi might not be going. Lekani could be captain. Just on this with the team. Firstly, the question, and you can answer it one off. Should we actually be going to the Rugby Championship? Is it too much time? Is it enough time till then? I'm in the feeling, seeing what I saw last week, I think we will be okay. Russie's got rules. You have to play, I think, 6 or 7 matches in order to at least qualify going forward. So there's a lot going on that we need to consider for this. But at the end of the day, we don't want our players to get badly injured. So, Joandre, I think you could lead, and then Reenen, you can give your thoughts on this with the availability. How do you see it playing out with the players overseas, injuries, and all that jazz?
Okay, so around the availability, I know that World Rugby put in a law that states if matches are being played during the international window, the clubs are obliged to let them go. They can't keep them, and that's the end of it. So regarding the overseas players, that if it's in the international window, they will be there. But for me, personally, I wouldn't go. I wouldn't go play. New Zealand had their Super Rugby, and Australia had months to play. So, but if we do end up going, I'll send a young team. I'll send a young team so that, let's say, they've one or two things are going to happen. We're either going to get hammered, or the young guys are going to step up and actually show us, okay, listen, I'm here to play. You don't have to worry about the overseas guys.
That's what I'm hoping.
Or this or that. But I wouldn't go. I wouldn't send, let's say, the World Cup team there, and then we end up losing badly against New Zealand, and then there's talks again. Look, we won the World Cup because of luck and all of those. You know how people.
That's what I'm worried about. Is
so I'm not. Sorry, Gareth. Like I said, I wouldn't send. For me personally, I would love to see a full strength Currie Cup. Regarding let the Cheetahs play, and a lot of the fans say, the Cheetahs are Currie Cup champs, which they are. Cannot take that away from them. But I would love to see a full strength Currie Cup, have the fans hopefully back by then, see full stadiums. Because if we have 2-3 weeks of Currie Cup rugby, then 40 players are taken out to go play in the Rugby Championship, then we are back where we were last year, where you have Vodacom Cup team playing in the Currie Cup.
My big concern with this whole thing going forward is, like you said, if we go over and they smash us, I mean, we know there's people who are still actually hating on the win that we did. It is going on that, and I think that's where it comes down to world rankings. I mean, people will think of any type of hate comment to go against us. Not everyone, just a few. On this, like, South Africa are too scared. They're not going to come because they don't want to lose their rankings. New Zealand's going to smash them, all that stuff. You know, people must actually realize we've just gone through a pandemic. Not everyone's fully fit. I mean, just now the Springboks actually are brilliant and whoop the All Blacks. Who knows? Yeah. Anything can happen. And I think, we need to think logically here on this year. Hence why I say the Rugby World Ranking shouldn't even come about in this year, because you just can't really elaborate or qualify what the heck's going on in the sport. So for me, supporters need to use their knowledge that they have for their team or the ones they're against, and realize win or lose, this year is already thrown out. I think the Six Nations, maybe you can say that's pretty much straightforward. It started before COVID. It had fair play. England, Ireland, France are still got an opportunity. But as for the Rugby Championship, it's very tough. There's too much drama and negativity going on. So I hope we go, but I agree with you. I'd love to see a full-on Currie Cup. Reenen, your take?
Gareth, you have to look at this from a practical point of view, and something that made me sit up in this week was after Rassie started making a little bit of noise about are the Boks going to play in it or not, what I read up a little bit on it. The current regulations in this country that govern international flights dictate in a very, very short, to sum it up very shortly, very quickly. If you want to fly into South Africa, repatriation flights are allowed. If you want to fly out of South Africa, you must either be a foreign national going home, or you must be able to produce a letter of employment to take up employment in another country. You cannot go and do business in another country. You must take up employment. So looking at that, the Boks can't fly. Full stop. They can't fly. The other thing that is equally important here is the two-week lockdown that will apply to the Boks when they land in Australia. But the fact that they won't be allowed to practice, so they're going to lose their fitness, they're going to lose their sharpness. And Erasmus said he's not satisfied with that. You will only adhere to that, and let the Boks get on the plane and fly over if they can fly over, which currently they can't. If they're going to be allowed to practice and train fully during that 2-week period of quarantine, which the Aussies can't guarantee them at this stage. So as things stand, I don't think the Boks are flying over. I think we're going to have full strength Currie Cup right through Christmas.
Do you not think we will go down a level or give more reductions because we're closer to the end of December? However, having said that, Joe and I were talking off air earlier about the second wave. I mean, all the countries are getting it. South Africa aren't heading it. I've heard predictions for December possibly, and so things could rise. So you're well right with saying that. Will we actually even be allowed out the country with this team? And I agree, if we're not allowed to train in those 2 weeks, I mean, what's the point? We're going to go a couple of days of training before we take on the All Blacks or Argentina. That's another question. Will Argentina even make it? Because some of their players already contracted the virus, and all their guys also stuck overseas. So yeah, I think we could be seeing a BlitzBOD Cup only this year, but which isn't a bad thing. It's an exciting tournament, but we'll have to wait and see what happens. But what you say there about the leaving the country is definitely a concern for South Africa.
And what I've seen lately is that no exceptions are made. Under normal circumstances, they would have just arranged a flight for the Boks. Let's just assume, for purposes of conversation, flights were an issue. They would have chartered a flight for the Boks and make it happen. This doesn't apply with these regulations. No exceptions are made. The guys are tough. These rules are enforced. And I can't see it happen. Whether it will be relaxed or the second wave is going to come or what, we don't know. But if these rules are going to be relaxed, I can't see them being relaxed in time. It's going to come too late.
I think you've also got it. There's a danger, isn't it, about sending elite level players over, not doing training. You've got to look at player welfare. What is the point? What is the end state in this year? And the conversation me and Gareth had before was about probably come on to it at the end when we're talking about the Cheetahs, about the fact that I personally don't think we're going to see South African teams in the Northern Hemisphere. This whole thing about coming to I'll park it because I think it's an inherent danger of player welfare if you start to force the issue. And I don't think it's going to go ahead, the Rugby Championship. I hope it does, because it's always great crack. But I think you're going to see a BlitzBOD, and I think South Africa are better doing the local, regional, then global bit in that order. And if there's any chance whatsoever, can it? Mag to grid, get rid. There we go. That's my just a fine opinion. Just before we move on, because I know you're going to talk about the Super 8, Nigel Quigley, the Night King from Walker One himself, he's just come up with, I think he's been on the lash tonight, an idea, a silly one. Reenen, instead of Reenen Stenekamp, Reenen Stenekamp. Softum, for those people who don't know, is standard for the Ulster man. And if
you can see it there.
He's in his Ulster shirt tonight. And if you notice, is miraculously the Wizards, the borrowers have come in and changed his name to Reenen Stenekamp. Nigel, they go, while he was talking, that happened as well. There we go. Okay. Gareth, sorry, mate.
Right, Super 8 competition. I'm quite excited about this one if it happens. I don't think it's going to happen right now. I think we're going to wait a while for this. But I know Australia originally recommended this type tournament where we'll have 2 teams from each country, etc., just to create something. Obviously, with the Cheetahs, we'll obviously lead into them after this with Joe. But Super 8 tournament bringing us in. Obviously, we know our top guys are already in Pro 14 or Pro 16. It gives an opportunity for other guys to stand up against probably the Southern Hemisphere teams. We'll see probably Japan feature again. We'll see maybe New Zealand, depending on the relationship there. But or it will just be provincial. Well, pretty much provincial and how we'll do it. But I think this is a good opportunity for the Cheetahs, because I know they've been pretty much guaranteed this in for this Super 8 Provincial League. Guys, what are your takes on this before we get into the cheetah mode with this Provincial Super 8 type league? Like I think it's 2 or 1 team apiece.
Gareth, I'll take this. No, look, you have to consider it. Well, we can just as well, if I may, we can just connect this topic with the Cheetahs because it's all the same thing. That is a second-rate competition, from what I've gathered, and I may be wrong, but it's only going to last for a month, and then it's over. So you play the Currie Cup for 2 months, and that's for a month. Yes. What about the other 9 months? What do your sponsors want?
I thought they were going to make it a yearly thing. I know that was Australia's thoughts.
It could be annual, but the duration of the competition is a month. Then it's over. So,
fair enough.
But more important than that, if we take this deal up, this will result in the Cheetahs then accepting this and abiding by this decision, and then we're definitely not going to play in Europe anymore. Okay? The Cheetahs have scheduled an extraordinary board meeting for tomorrow, Friday, where they need to take a decision whether they're going to accept this or go to court. Okay? I know the attorney that acts on behalf of the Free State Rugby Union personally. We're friends. I do work for him. This guy does not lose. Full stop. When he takes a case, he is sure that he will win. Otherwise, he doesn't take the case. He advises the client, no, you're going to lose. Let's rather settle what. He's already expressed his desire to take up this case. This means he feels he will win. This thing is not over. Blood is going to flow, and it's not going to be our blood. This is going to get ugly. And it needs to get ugly because they're ugly with us now. So we will punch them back. That's
your take on Super 8 before we go into the Cheetahs?
Gareth, for me, it's like that competition that the Western Force play in, and it's
okay. That's a good point.
It's just something to say to the Cheetahs, okay, listen, here's a competition. You go play in there, and if things doesn't work out for us in the Pro 4, Pro 16, then we'll kick you out and we'll send our teams in there again. For me, it's not the answer, and it's sad what's happening with the Cheetahs, but we'll get to that now.
What I thought, just to end off on this topic, what it originally was going to be, obviously our Southern Hemisphere team, so you're going to have your provincial league, so Super Rugby Aotearoa, Currie Cup, or Super Rugby Lockdown. Obviously, we're going to stick with the Pro 14, and then we would have 2 teams from each country, so like Crusaders and the top teams from each provincial league mixing up together. For me, that sounded exciting. But now with the whole thing with the Cheetahs, I get what you both are saying. It's like a hand-me-down. Okay, that's what you get. You're not part of the best. But Joe, you can lead us into the Cheetahs one. It's an interesting one, but we'll see.
It is, and the reason why I wrote that today, because I obviously heard about the Super 8, but I wasn't really sure of how the formation it was, or what it was designed to do, or whether it was almost just like a filler type thing. And if I'm honest, despite what you're saying to me, I think from a learning point of view, I'm still trying to get how we do all of our shows globally are all based on grassroots to test level and international, and I'm still trying to get my head around in every country, if I'm honest, how the correlation between grassroots clubs, the schools thing, obviously schools and varsity is just so bloody big in South Africa in comparison to any other country, in my opinion, that I've learned, which is bad. But I still don't think that's fully exploited enough. That's another show in its own right. However, looking at, as we're moving forward, this local regional then global concept, it is how you put the layer system in, not just, right, Cheetahs, well, we've hoofed you off again, we'll just stick you in a competition. It's got to have some meaning to it, and it's got to be a layer system and flow. And I don't think it's probably me, guys, not being there with you. I don't understand enough about what those layer systems are. But then talking to a lot of people in South Africa and outside, I don't think everybody really does understand what it's designed. It's also almost like an interregnum period where we're trying to find ourselves. And that comes me onto the Cheetahs. So that's my bit on that, trying to understand. The Cheetahs, I think it was back in 2016, unceremoniously hoofed out of the Super Rugby. Everybody knows I've been following South African rugby since since Rassie sort of went to Munster. Why did Rassie go to Munster? I'm very vocal about this because I've been sort of watching it sort of almost out. Positioning himself. We've had so many conversations, Big Fab, positioning himself and other people. So people like Jury Roux on the Pro 14 board, the Celtic League board as it was, and other people. Charles Cruel coming in, who was the former CEO of Eastern Province, and going in as the head of operations for the Pro 14 board. All of those things are positioning yourself well to then for a longer term. That was so clear, but how it would pan out, even I didn't realize it was going to sort of pan out with the Kings and the Chiefs. Kings, I think, is a separate entity because of the finances, and that was unfortunate. But also, for me as an outsider, it bloody eased. And there's no disrespect because we don't do clickbait and type interviews, but it allowed Saru to move ahead more easily with one out of the way to push the Cheetahs. That's my opinion from the outside.
Not wrong.
I think I'm going to stick up from Nigel Quigley, obviously, who runs our Ulster Rugby Roundup show, without getting into who should or shouldn't from the South African side. The Cheetahs had a tough start. But for him, like most of us, had earned their place in the Pro 14. Yes. As a non-South African rugby fan, it doesn't sit well how they have been treated. I don't like to get involved in one side or the other. I like to look at things. It's not, as I found out over time doing this, it's not always easy. But I have come out and I did a public live with Casper van der Merwe on the Cheetahs and then the Three Blokes page about 2 weeks ago in support of them. And I'm sitting in a Cheetahs group from last night supporting. I think something should be done because it's in the best interests of rugby, but I just don't think the way it's been. We've got a chance after COVID to rebuild, as we've all said. Well, let's bloody well do it properly. We cannot treat like this. Now, that's my personal view, and as a rugby fan, I don't think it's bloody right. It really, really, as you can probably gather, infuriates me, which is why I am publicly supporting the Cheetahs, which I've never done for anything else before, because I don't agree with it. From a rugby perspective, I think it's very astute of Saru to put the Fantastic Four, so the Bulls, the Lions, the Sharks, and the Cheetahs, and the Stormers in. And what will happen within a couple of years of being in there as the Pro 16? You're then going to see them qualify for Europe, and the Europe thing will be it is an EPCR, so the European Professional Club Rugby Champions and Challenge Cups, which will be for teams playing in the European leagues. So if they're playing in the European League, and that's what's going to happen, that'll be the next stage. And this is all part of a very astute plan by Rassie, by Saru coming through. From a rugby perspective, Pro 14 and the EPCR, they're going to lap it up because it means money, money, money. Who doesn't want to see the Fantastic Four playing? So that's from a strategic and an operational point of view, you can see where that's going. I just worry about that we're not learning something from it, and I feel sorry for the Cheetahs because I think they have been cheated, and that's two sides I've tried to look on. I understand it from a strategic rugby point of view, financial point of view, but from a generalist rugby fan point of view, it just doesn't sit easy anymore. It doesn't sit easy like some clubs sort of buying their way to win competitions. There we go. That's my thoughts.
For me on this one, and I fully agree with you. I think the Cheetahs have really been treated unfairly on this one. I personally and strongly feel my way of a fair opportunity of qualifying, because next year is so hazy right now. We're not quite sure what's going on. If South Africa don't go to Rugby Championship, like you both have said, we're going to have a solid Currie Cup full of players who are Springboks and all that jazz. For me, the top four of the Currie Cup or Super Lockdown, whatever it's called, those top four should be given the opportunity to go ahead and go forward, because then you can say that they've earned it. If the Sharks play like they played last week and they're the bottom of the log, I'm a full-on Shark supporter, then the Sharks can't go. Then the Cheetahs can go. And the same goes to any other team in this opportunity. Even if the Griquas win, and they have come close, they've been second, and they've shocked the world a few times, then the Griquas must go. For me, whoever wins this Super Rugby lockdown or lockout, unlock, there we go, they should go through to this tournament. And that should be the way forward every year. Qualifying, earning your position, and it's fairly done, and it saves the politics or the drama that's currently been going on. And we're not going to have this situation where fans are so hurt because they can't support their team anymore, that they're going to boycott the whole other provincial teams, when that's not the way we want it. You know, you want to support your South African teams. I saw a comment the other day of a Cheetah supporter saying, I'm no longer going to support an SA team. The Cheetahs in, so I'm going to support something like that. So you don't want that. So for me, let the guys play. Whoever gets the top 4 of this tournament next month or next week, there we go. There's your guys for the first Pro 14 that South Africa will be included in with the 4 players.
Gareth, we all feel like that. You know, I cannot tell you how many Cheetah supporters have now written off the Springboks. We're not going to support the Springboks anymore. We will now root for other teams. It's already been done. It's irreversible. That is the damage that they've caused.
No, I agree with what you said there, Gareth. And I would have felt the same as Reenen if they said, listen, okay, the Bulls are now just being kicked out without given a chance to earn their place or to keep their place. But with the Currie Cup, I hope they make that like the qualification, but then we need to see full strength teams. You cannot take 60 or 70% of the Sharks and the Stormers out and then expect them to now perform with their under 21 side to play for a place in the Pro 16. It needs to be strength versus strength. That is the way that I see that work.
I agree. What are Sara going to do? Let's say we got a full strength Currie Cup team and the Cheetahs win the tournament. And let's say the Griquas come 3rd or 4th. And we're seeing only 2 of these top 4 that are going to the Pro 14 going forward. What will Saru do if that happens? I mean, that is going to cause such a storm in the air, because you're telling the public that the earning guys who have won something or been in the top 4 cannot qualify because they're not part of, as Joe says, the Fantastic Four. I mean, that is going to, I mean, if the Springboks losing to the All Blacks 57-0 caused the storm.
Yeah. But surely,
what is that going to do?
Surely the 4 teams are interchangeable. So if the Currie Cup is the qualifier, if we say that the Pro 14 is the top aspiration, if you like, regionally for the club franchise competition, then if the Currie Cup is it, then the 4 teams that make it to the semi-final are the 4 teams that bloody well make it into the Pro 14 next year. Now, logistically, I don't know how it's easy to change that around, but, you know, at the end of the day, at the end of the season, everybody comes back. And is that financially viable? But it doesn't matter. There's got to be an aspiration for the Griquas or for the Cheetahs or for anybody else. And that is, you get to the bloody semi-finals. You want to win the Currie Cup, but semi-final place assures you of playing in that Northern Hemisphere next year. And we look ahead to Big Joe Shep's prediction of the European Champions and Challenge Cup will come.
Yeah.
South African rugby is going to win all round. The fans are going to win. The teams have got something to aspire to. Jesus, I'll get me coat, lads. I'm off now. I've said enough.
Exactly. No argument. That's the way forward.
I should maybe
move to I want to say, this thing is far from over. Tomorrow's board meeting will be revealing what's going to happen. I'm telling you now.
Press release on that.
They will. But I'm telling you now. this thing is going to court and we're going to win this for this court case. That's going to throw the cat in the pigeons. We've got a deal with Saru up until 2023. That deal is still valid. You can't get around that, gentlemen. And the court frowns upon people who break deals. And this is going to happen here. But you'll see it happen. You'll just see it happen.
I'm going to have two final things because we're up to an hour. And I don't know where that bloody hour has gone. I never know where the hour is gone. Where the hour is gone.
That's the fastest show I've been on.
It did go quick.
So, Nigel Quigley, the Night King from Ulster says, if South Africa joined the Six Nations and the Hino Cup came into play, the team qualify for the Hino and then they qualify for the Pro 14. You're right. I think there's a difficulty there on if somebody qualified for the Hino one year and did well, or even won it, for example, but then didn't get through the Currie Cup the following year. I don't know. I don't know. But I think there's what we've all spoken about, and having the Currie Cup, Nige, as the basis to aspire to as the next level has got to be, the rest of the thing. The problem is all of these competitions are all owned by bloody private entities and they're all doing their own thing. But there's got to be a way, a bit like trying to find the great mythical rugby global season, to find something. But as it is now, putting the Fantastic Four in is not right. Because otherwise you just ring fencing that forever, and there's no aspiration other than winning the Currie Cup. But where do they go from there then? Financially, it's not fair to the fans. It's not fair and anything else. So I know what Juandre, leave me with one thing that you would like to see in the next 2 years. What would be the ultimate positive solution from everything we're talking about for you as an individual?
Well, for me, I would just like to. I want us in Europe. I think that's the way forward. Unfortunately, this Cheetahs incident, it leaves a sour taste in one's mouth. You never want to celebrate seeing your team in Europe in another team's spot that didn't deserve to go. But I would like to see us go north and actually perform and play well, and to show New Zealand that we don't need them, because they are actually the ones that actually closed the door on us and forced us to go north. So we'll take that opportunity now.
Okay. Reenen, you.
Joe, I'd like to see France and Ireland go head-to-head for the Grand Slam. Wouldn't that be something? But more locally, I'd like to see the Cheetahs continue playing in the Pro 14. That's what I want. We'll get it.
Okay. GMan.
Yeah, I want to see, like I said, I want to see a qualification mode. I get that comment from Nigel, but I just think it's a fair way of getting South Africa teams in. It's going to give an opportunity. It's going to just create more gears in the Currie Cup, and it's going to make that Currie Cup even more fire. And it's going to excite people. People are going to go because they know, jeepers, can you believe the Griquas could play Leinster? I mean, or Ulster, or anyone, Ospreys. That, for me, is exciting. Second point, I just want to see the sport continue, and hopefully relationships don't get tarnished from all the drama. When I talk about that, the SA New Zealand rivalries, all these things that we've built up, we can't forget that it's been 25 years of great Super Rugby memories for us. I mean, I grew up watching it. You guys know it. I want to still see us sometime in the future get together, and that's why I'll go back to what I've always said: a Club Rugby World Cup would be icing on the cake.
Absolutely. There's lots of positives we can take away, isn't there? Just as a sort of side issue, people sort of send me lots of comments about my my share collection in the back. There's a South African one on its way. That's been ordered. You'll see the new Ulster one. That's
Yes,
the Ulster one's there. If somebody from the Cheetahs wants to send me a Cheetahs one, that one can go up there as well. Or the Sharks.
No, I'll send you Cheetahs jersey.
There we go.
I'll send you.
We've got stuff
So
on the way
done now. I'll send you one.
We've got stuff over there from Greece. It's just collecting around the world. Dim O'Rourke, in fact, Dim O'Rourke says, we're not going to answer this come on because we're already got 1 hour 5 in. It's going to destroy the spirit of the Springboks. I hope not. I just think it's going to take a little bit of time. And as I Gareth earlier on off I don't think we're going to see any of the South African teams in the Northern Hemisphere next March. If they do go, it'll be more of a bit of a football, testing the logistics, locations, a couple of exhibition matches. That's it. It'll really kick off for currently for the Pro 16 this time, sort of next year. Dermot from the Irish Rugby Fan Forum says we'll boycott the Springboks. I don't think the real fans will. And these things come and go in the Waxman. And from the Cheetahs, the main man himself, the great Casper van der Merwe. Go with the top four in the Currie Cup. Let them go. Throw the top blue-eyed boys must head by their own path and leave the Cheetahs alone in the Pro 14. I'm sure there is more to follow on this. A lot more.
Yeah, definitely.
I'd like to thank everybody who's contributed tonight and will contribute next couple of days. Yes, to all the forum owners and the admins and moderators, thanks very much for allowing us to share and reshare. I know you get it 2 or 3 times at the moment because of the way Facebook is, because the first post doesn't necessarily open and then when it goes live, so we've shared that again tonight. So thank you for putting up. It's Facebook. We're trying to work around it. To Joandre Joubert and to Reenen Stenekamp. It is all it's going to stick forever now. You will forever be known as Reenen Stenekamp now.
I can live with that. I can live with that.
Thank you, guys. It's insightful as ever, and again, thank you, Andy, for buggering off on our secret mission to go and do some stuff for us, looking at the Russian Irish Lions Tail. That's allowed me to talk about and learn more about some of the things that really interest me in South Africa. And to the great Gareth Mason, whose short videos, GMan, Walk and Talk with GMan on YouTube is just a pleasure to watch. Go and subscribe to him. He is a true inspirational legend, and I don't have to say that, I say because it's genuine, and he's a bloody good egg. I learned so much from him. Thank you, sir. Enjoy yourself. No problem. Enjoy yourself over the weekend, lads. This game's going to be a cracker. Joandre, look after yourself. Reenen, Angus, that didn't make it with his torch because the electricity's gone. We hope that everything returns soon. I am, thank you everybody for watching. I'm Big Joe Shep. This has been another episode of Drie Bokke, a Bull and BlitzBOD, the fortnightly South African and Springbok Rugby Roundup show. I'll leave you with the team for Saturday for the green and gold Springbok showdown. Until the next episode, stay safe wherever you are. And remember, we are a global rugby family.